Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning for our senior seminar presentations. I'm going to start my presentation by reading a little data that I found. Over 2,000 websites have emerged over the past 2 years touting Brazil as a sex tourism destination. With the situation worsening after hosting major events like the 2014 World Cup, a new survey has found. During the World Cup of 2014, BBC declared Brazil to be the main destination for sex tourism in Latin America. At the same time, Independent published an article revealing the reality of 1 million prostitutes in the country during huge touristic events. This reality is the result of years of misrepresentation of Brazilian women, which has been a part of culture since colonial times. During the colonial times in Brazil, where a substantial amount of Africans were trafficked as slaves into the country and we received a huge amount of European immigration, a lot of miscegenation happened. However, some of it was intentional. The Empire of Brazil wanted to widen the country. Therefore, interracial couples were enforced by those who were in power so we could have a lighter Brazil. Together with this skin lightening process, the stereotypes were born. But before we go into what the Brazilian stereotype and the stereotype of Brazilian women entails, I'm going to talk a little bit to you about what is a stereotype. According to Mike Cardwell in his book Dictionary of Psychology, a stereotype is a fixed overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people. And as we learn in our communication classes, the stereotypes, they are being reproduced by mass productions and mass media outlets. So it is also important for us to understand the politics of race in Brazil in order to understand the stereotype of Brazilian women. As I explained to you, this skin lightening issue was born on the basis that black skin was bad, devious, and sinful. Therefore, a lighter skin is better. So with that premise, black women, the slaves that were trafficked into our country, they were seen as only for pleasure. They were basically objects. When you have a lighter skinned woman, you have a mulatto. The mulatto stereotype was born after the skin lightening process, where the mulatto is this mixed girl who encompasses all the good things that a woman can be. She has the innocence and the purity of the white woman from European descent, and she has the sensualness and sinfulness of the African slave woman. The misconception leads to the mulatto stereotype. This is a drawing made by Auguste Francois Beard, and he was one of the French artists who went to Brazil during the 19th century, and he painted this depiction of the Brazilian women. This depiction is wrong because one, it is written in the book that women during the time would not be unclothed. It was post-slavery. It was already something where we were going into becoming a republic. So this was a depiction that he wanted to draw. He used the model's head, but the bare chested was something that he included in his own drawing. So this image is being sold about Brazilian women to this day. And when choosing my senior project theme, I decided to do a creative project. I decided to do a documentary project on why the stereotype was born and how Brazilian women are affected by it. But when doing my research, I found out that a lot of the data that we have regarding that is only talking about the foreigners and their point of view. And this time I would like to highlight the voices of the women. During my research, I found out these two pictures, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit what they mean. The first one, I don't know if you guys ever heard of Carmen Miranda, but here she was called the lady in the tutti frutti hat, which is problematic as well because they didn't even, a lot of Americans don't even know her name. So that kind of takes her identity away to just being that character. And this one is what I'm going to show you in a little video clip of the documentary I produced during the semester, which is the Globaleza. She's an icon in Carnival in Brazil, and because she's an icon during Carnival, a lot of foreigners see her, and a lot of Brazilians use her as an image to be upheld and to be followed. So let me show you this little clip that I have. Unfortunately, I can show you the whole documentary, and just a little disclaimer, some images here might be shown where there are nudity and other things around the matter, and I would just like for you guys to understand that this is for educational purposes only. I don't mean to do any type of shock value right now. So, let's see if the, yes.
Muitos negros da África vieram para o Brasil, já nessa condição de escravos e tudo. Então, o que aconteceu? No Brasil colônia, o Brasil passou por um período de império. E aí o que aconteceu? Com o passar do tempo, eles perceberam que o contingente negro no país estava muito grande, tinham muitos negros. Então eles pensaram, a gente precisa embranquecer o Brasil.
Mas aí também tem uma outra questão que é muito maior, que é a questão dos padrões de beleza. Quem é a mulher mais bonita do Brasil? Gisele Bündchen, que é branca, loira, super magra, olhos claros. Então isso também vem, acaba que é um ciclo vicioso, né? Qual é o símbolo de mulher negra, qual é a referência, qual é o primeiro pensamento que vem na sua cabeça quando se trata de mulher negra Brasil? Eu acho que isso é tanto aqui dentro quanto lá fora. Beleza? E é uma mulher negra que, quando se trata desse contexto de carnaval, ela é mulata.
To Brazilians, especially men, the mulatto is the symbol of everything sexy and erotic. During Carnival, gorgeous mulatto bodies begin to move in ways that even a fitness expert like myself can believe. One thing I do believe, it must be very healthy.
Que está praticamente pelada, né, seminua, com pequenos adereços carnavalescos que cobrem o corpo, e é uma mulher que fica ali, teoricamente não, praticamente em exposição, né? Que se torna símbolo, ela não é símbolo da festa folclórica, do carnaval, ela é símbolo sexual, né? Ela é uma representação de todo um fetiche e tudo mais. E ela é uma mulher que é rebaixada a um objeto sexual.
So, as you can see on this short clip of the video, the stereotype of the Brazilian woman is not a stereotype based on truth. It's a stereotype that was manufactured with the intention of creating an image that would be profitable and easy to sell. So you might be wondering now, how did I put this documentary together? And basically, the creative process that I went through was making a film under a very, very small budget. I had to go through 3 stages, which is the pre-production, production, and post-production stage. But before that, I would like to just clarify something. The women that I interviewed were 2 groups of women, women in Brazil and women in the United States. Women from Brazil in the United States. I also interviewed some Americans to know their opinion of the Brazilian women, to put the whole script together. But the focus of this project was to give a voice to the women specifically. So during stage 1, actually in filmmaking, we have these 3 stages where it starts with the pre-production, production, and post-production, but documentary making of a documentary is backwards. You start with the production phase, where you're gonna get all your shots, all your footage, all your interview, all your questions, and all your answers, and then you're gonna do what they usually do in pre-production, which is putting a script together. And that was one of the hardest parts, because I had to overcome several challenges. But it was one of the hardest parts because sometimes I didn't have enough footage and I had already gone by my production phase, so I had to go back and do more footage or adjust my script and adjust my what I had as an initial idea, because one of the biggest lessons that I learned was that it's never going to come out exactly how you want to, but you need to accomplish a goal. On the stage 3, we had post-production where you're gonna edit and get to your final cut. And this was the longest phase because it's where I had to shorten a lot of my clips, and I had 2-hour videos that I had to make it into 5-6 minutes. And I ended up having a 12-minute long documentary. Amongst the most important lessons I learned while producing my own documentary, the biggest one was why I decided to do it. Giving a voice to those who usually can't speak up is a passion I have. With this project, I had the opportunity of creating something I am passionate about that not only speaks to me personally, but to other women in my country. The goal of Exótica is not to shame Brazilian culture or foreigners, those who are not from Brazil, for believing in a stereotype. It is to educate others on my people's diversity and distinctiveness. And I hope that today I accomplished at least a part of my goal. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions? Sure.